and how to do a hybrid wash.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. What's a hybrid wash? This is an EV. We're not washing a hybrid, we're doing a hybrid wash, which means we start with foam, let the foam do its thing, get all that dirt off the surface. Then we follow up with rinseless wash, and the contact wash is done with rinseless.
There's a reason to do a hybrid wash. Sometimes you love foam, you want to put on a show.
Right.
And sometimes you want to get to work, you want no foam at all, and you want to get efficient. This bridges the worlds, so to speak.
Bridges the gap, and at the same time, both are fun to do. So he gets to foam, I get to rinseless, we're both happy. And as a bonus, we'll be decontaminating this because you'll see this in future videos.
So let's get to work, Ivan.
Yeah, I can see the wheels have just a little bit of brake dust on them, more than necessary. So let me get some iron remover on here before we start foaming these wheels to start breaking down those iron deposits.
So iron remover before all clean, iron remover before incredible suds.
Yeah.
Why iron remover first?
Well, this one, these are black wheels that are turned brown. So we know that they have a lot to give in terms of iron deposits, brake dust. So that's why we're throwing a bit of iron remover on first, and then we can do the rinse.
Do we want to put all clean over these?
Actually, no, go with the foamer. We'll do all clean for our second step. Now, Nick, do you have any leftover incredible suds in there?
I've got quite a lot, actually.
Why don't you get the wheels and the wheel wells just a little more?
All right. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that purple just falling down off these wheels.
That's what I mean. Getting a little more incredible suds in there to really break that down, to get in there, get inside the wheel with the foam cannon.
Here at DIY Detail, we teach something called the foam rinse foam, or the chemical rinse chemical, or in the case of hybrid
wash, foam rinse chemical, or foam rinse rinseless. So,
what's the basic principle?
Well, basically, the foam, what it's doing first is taking away the grit on the surface, starting to break down that traffic film, making the surface clean, but you still need a contact wash. For the contact wash, that's where the rinseless comes in to play.
All right, gonna use this pressure washer tip, but spray away from the vehicle first. For good reason.
You can also spray into your bucket, but just saying.
All right, I'm embarrassed, I'm mortified. I'm gonna check it one more time. Traumatized.
Now, Nick, stop there for a second. Rinsing 101.
Uh-oh, I'm back in the classroom.
So you had it in your right hand, because you're right-handed, and going like this.
Yeah.
You put it in your left hand.
Okay.
Hold the rope with your right. Now I can spray from back to front, getting the whole roof without getting the wall wet.
I also was thinking I was gonna do like top to bottom, but I started with here and went down. Was that an inefficient move?
Pretty much, because the back is still covered in soap.
So you would have done this front all the way to the back to front and then come back to this?
Yeah.
Okay, done this last or?
Yeah, because of the shape of the vehicle.
All right, so it's kind of shape dependent.
Yeah.
Can I go back to my right hand here or do you left? Okay, I'm genuinely curious, all right. Now, Ivan, if I left a little soap residue on there, we're gonna apply rinseless wash next.
Right.
Is it the end of the world?
Not the end of the world, but let's say there's areas you missed, like this front corner of the bumper you didn't touch at all.
Okay. You mentioned rinsing 101, but it's not an insignificant part of the wash. It's actually, for you aspiring detailers out there, it actually says a lot about someone, how they rinse. Do they know what they're doing? Are they efficient? Are they just a wild cowboy? I'm learning every day, Ivan.
Yep. Now, next we need to apply the rinseless to the surface. To do so, we'll use a little battery-powered sprayer that we have, but you can use anything you want.
I'm just looking perplexed because usually I'm the squeegee meister. Okay, let me squeegee. I feel uncomfortable without this in my hands.
So just with the incredible suds, the wheels are no longer looking brown. The reason we're spraying the Rinseless on the surface is to help it start emulsifying the dirt, breaking it down. So when we go to do the contact wash with the Legacy sponge, we're getting a much better job. We're not using a lot of product here, it's just literally getting it on the surface.
It's really hard to argue with rinseless wash as like the most efficient way to wash your car. Rinseless, rinse, rinseless, contact wash. Because you don't have to actually rinse after this process. So we're going to do that because we're decontaminating. We'll be rinsing off iron remover and water spot remover, Ivan. Again, we could talk about the logic of why rinseless is so efficient, but there's times where I have efficiency and fun in mind. Like a home wash, I just want to get the foam cannon out first.
Yeah. And speaking of foam, our friend, All Clean, diluted 15:1 with just a little bit of incredible suds to increase the dwell time of the foam, getting inside those wheels.
So when you know you're going to rinse again, because we're going to decontaminate, Ivan,
Yeah.
is there any point in using rinseless over incredible suds?
The Rinseless we want to use for its lubricity. Now, the soap has great lubricity. We're going to be decontaminating using the quad fold towel, and at the same time, the Rinseless gives a little more lubrication. Plus, we can see what we're doing better. There's no suds in the way.
Can you explain that a little more? Because once you understand what it looks like to have a rinseless wash, washed panel versus an untouched panel, you'll never unsee it.
Well, just go over the hood. You'll see it immediately. So the water is just sitting there, flooded on the hood, where the Rinseless wash is in this case. But as soon as you go over it with a sponge,
take a look at this. No pressure on the sponge, by the way.
right,
And boy, you can see how dirty it is under the rinseless wash solution.
yeah,
It almost seems like the kind of wash where, because you see how dark that is? I mean, that's after a foam and a rinse.
yeah.
How dark it is on the sponge. And I can almost see it, because I have a little bit of a trained eye, that the rinseless wash solution is just a little murky. Usually you can only see it on white paint, but I can see it on the blue. So I'm just gonna wash the same section with both sides of my sponge, and you can see the difference for sure.
Now I'm getting the roof for you here, Nick.
I appreciate that. It doesn't seem like there's much protection on here at all. Or at least no beading.
Yeah, the paint seems very contaminated.
So the reason we do a foam rinse foam, or a chemical rinse chemical, or a foam rinse chemical, is because the first time we foam and then we rinse, we're getting rid of the grit, but there's still this traffic film left over. And if you're wondering what that looks like, sometimes you can see it on paint, but you can definitely see how black it's made this sponge. The great thing about rinseless wash, actually probably my favorite thing about it, all you do, dunk it in the bucket, squeeze it out, and even though the bucket is murky, folks, oh my gosh, is this safe? What's happening to the dirt? What's happening to the grit? Look at what's going back on the paint. A perfectly clean surface. Rinseless wash. Ivan, is it magic?
Not magic at all, Nick. It's science. So a new school car, all EV, but I'm using a brush, which seems old school, but in reality, this is not your grandpa's brush.
Not all brushes are created equal, is what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. Now, Mustang fans out there, what do you feel about an electric SUV having the Mustang logo on it? With the wheels, always start with the faces. That way, any grit that's on the inside of the wheel, you're not gonna rub into the face of the wheel when you go to brush it. So even though this has regenerative braking, the inside of the barrels are really dirty. Are you the type of person that always does the barrels of your wheels? Comment down below. How about you, Nick?
I always do the barrels, Ivan. That's a lie. I do them when I feel like it. If I'm detailing someone's car, I always do them. If it's mine, wheel and body brush, usually is all I need. But that's because I use quick beads after every wash or something to protect it. The barrels are nice and clean. If you keep up on your wheels, they're usually super easy to maintain.
Next step, decontamination of the body. We have Rinseless wash sitting on this surface, and this is a very hydrophilic surface. By hydrophilic, it's holding on to the liquid. That's what a hydrophilic surface is. This isn't what people call sheeting. Sheeting, it would have been dry by now because all the water would have sheeted off. This is hydrophilic, it's holding on, it's not hydrophobic in any way. You can see how wet the surface is. It's just holding on to the water. That's because it's a hydrophilic and not a hydrophobic surface. Sheeting and beading are actually the same thing. It's just how much water are you putting on. One spray on the panel, one spray on the towel. Where you sprayed is where you meet them up. Oh yeah, there's contamination here. No pressure on the towel. How's it on your side, Nick?
It's cleaning up nicely. It feels like it's plucking the contamination off.
Yeah.
Very quickly, but I just can't understand why it's so hydrophilic. So I'm just, in my head, I'm like, this is a mystery to me. But what I love about our system is you don't have to know the why, you just have to know the steps, right?
Yeah. Oh, you can hear the contamination on the windshield. If you're new to the channel, you're saying, what's with this clay towel? It's a quad fold clay towel. There are 4 distinct sections to work with. Super easy to fold. That way you get thickness, preventing pressure points. You get 4 distinct surfaces to work with, so it's easy to keep track of where you're going, and you won't have it separating where you're folding. After you've used 4 sides, dunk it in your wash bucket, bring it back out again, and keep going. We're using the flooding of the bucket for the towel to release the contaminant.
So where's the contamination going, Ivan, when you're using this towel?
It's going into the towel, but it's being released as soon as we put it in the bucket. So contamination is something that people freak out about, but in reality, it's so small. You don't see it, you don't feel it. It's just there on the surface. Of course, when you start using the decontamination towel, that's when you feel it. And in this case, we really can feel it.
And don't be afraid to do this on the exterior plastics as well, right? The trim?
Correct, because there's iron particles that get there too.
Any don'ts with the decon towel?
Don't put any pressure on it. Don't get it hot, and don't use very active chemicals.
So like, would you want to use All Clean as a clay loop?
No All Clean, no water spot remover, definitely no tree sap remover.
I knew the answer, but I just wanted to see what you had to say. There's folks out here, if this is your first time watching, you're like, I'm here for the basics, right? And you may have heard of a clay bar, but you know, the clay towel, first of all, not all of them are created equal, are they?
No, and there's no clay involved in making this. It's a perforated synthetic decontamination surface. All those perforations give some place for the larger particles to go. The small gets stuck and held onto this rubber-like surface. Then when you put it in your wash bucket, it flushes it all out. Now we're using iron remover here as our decontamination lubricant in conjunction with the Rinseless wash. You can also use it just with the Rinseless wash or just with Incredible Suds. So there we go, Nick, all decontaminated.
Oh, hold on, Ivan. We are not all decontaminated. We have one more step in the decontamination process.
Yes, we do. But the mechanical decontamination is now done. The iron decontamination is done, but we need to rinse this off before doing the next decontamination step.
And I'll let you do the rinsing.
Okay. Nick, this vehicle has a lot of mineral contamination on it. When even the windows don't bead very well, like even on the windows, it starts by sheeting first, and normally windows bead very well. This is telling me this has a lot of mineral contamination. Now this vehicle, we know, sleeps outside 24/7 and goes on construction sites and things like that, where they have a lot of dust in the air. meaning more mineral contamination. It takes a long time for that water to come off the window. So you can see the water, there's a little more movement than before. There's a bead here and there, but we still have a lot of mineral contamination. The mineral contamination is something that builds up over time and gets worse and worse because now you have minerals that are on the surface that are there and they're holding on to stuff. As more dust, as more water, as more minerals get put on the surface, they just grow and they accumulate more and more and more. That's where water spot remover comes in. It's gonna break down those minerals pretty much on contact.
Ivan, you were putting on way more than I usually see you put on.
Right. We know this vehicle is just loaded with minerals. So that's why we're putting a little more on, and we're gonna leverage dwell time a little more than we normally do.
Look at how much, sorry, I interrupted you, but you can just see the beading and the water behavior really get active on the hood, which we didn't see any of that earlier.
Right, because the water spot remover is lifting those minerals off the surface. That's what we wanted to do. Now we're gonna use a rinseless dampened towel to agitate it, and that is really gonna liven up and brighten up the paint. So I'm using a rinseless dampened towel, and when I say dampened, I don't mean wet. We want it as wrung out as it can be without being dry. That way we're not picking up the water spot remover, we're distributing the water spot remover.
It glides like this, but if it was really wet, it would be, what, a little rougher under the towel?
That and you'd be diluting the water spot remover more.
We don't want to do that, do we?
No. You don't want to flip your towel. Always use the same side of the towel.
Lots of pressure, right, Ivan?
Yeah. Enough pressure that you could barely feel it.
Never use pressure when detailing. If you know Ivan, you know that's a big sticking point. So I was being sarcastic. I mean, there's never a time outside of, is there ever a time you use pressure?
No.
Never.
Well, a pressure washer.
Oh, there you go.
Now, our water spot remover is safe on glass, safe on all exterior surfaces, the plastic, etc.
So we're not stepping on to the car. We're just opening the door to give ourselves what, an extra couple inches to reach the center?
Yeah. And now I can easily reach the center of the vehicle.
As can I. Why agitate? Why not just spray it on and rinse it off, Ivan?
Well, the agitation helps pull those minerals off and out of the surface. And we're also making sure that we're getting it everywhere this way. Because normally we don't spray quite as much as I put on this vehicle. Like I said, we know this one is just heavily contaminated with minerals. So we need to spray a little more on. Now this vehicle, Nick, has another thing that's quite interesting. And that's this particular vehicle. The owner charges it with solar power.
Okay.
So he's got a solar array at home, and that's what his car is plugged into. So he doesn't rely on the power grid. He doesn't rely on gas stations.
Ivan, I'm curious to know if you think the beading is gonna come back. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I guess it kind of depends on if there was protection here to begin with.
Right, we should see beading coming back. I don't see any scratches or anything on this paint. The paint's actually in very good shape. Probably because it hasn't been washed too often.
Yeah.
So let me get rid of this towel. You don't put this towel in your wash bucket. You put it in a separate bucket or rinse it out under free running water. Before doing that, you don't want to mix the acid, the lactic acid that's part of our water spot remover with your regular wash media. It's not really good on sponges or brushes. Before I start rinsing, can you throw some quick beads on the wheels?
Have they been, you didn't throw any...
we washed them, yeah.
You didn't do water spot remover on them though?
No.
Okay.
So Nick, we've taken the minerals off. but it's still slow sheeting. There's not spectacular beating going on.
It looks so much different than before though.
Right, even the windows are not beating like crazy. The water just sort of slowly sheets off. So this vehicle definitely needs to be polished.
And I'm putting quick beads right on the wheels for you.
Much better, still a lot of water on the surface. We're actually gonna let it air dry a little bit, and let me show you something else you can do. On this wheel, you see we put quick beads, and they're beading nicely, they're beautiful. We want to towel dry them. Quick beads always needs to be towel dried. You don't wanna just blow dry it. And we're not gonna blow dry the vehicle, we're gonna towel dry it as well. But I'm waiting for the vehicle to evaporate a little bit because I don't wanna get my towel too wet. In the meantime, I can dry my wheels. So I'm just adding couple sprays of Envy. That way, makes drying even easier. And I'm providing, again, more gloss and more protection to this wheel. So the Envy ceramic sealant, as you can see, helped me in drying. We now have a nice, glossy, shiny wheel. And protected. When these wheels first showed up here, they were matte brown. Now they're glossy black. For the drying, I like to do something a little different. I know this one is harboring a lot of water, so what I'm gonna be doing is actually using a very small drying towel, but I'm using a level 1 as a squeegee towel. So I'm going before it. I'm literally acting as a squeegee, so you see it's not drying the surface, it's just pushing around that excess liquid.
You're not trying to do too much with this stage.
No, I'm just pushing off the liquid, then I can easily dry it with my drying towel.
Couple things going on here. It's very humid in the shop today.
Yeah.
And as we've talked about, this paint is a little different.
Yeah, it's not wanting to give up water at all.
Every paint is different, right? What is paint? What should people know about paint? They see the color, they see the vehicle. They don't have to be an expert on detailing and know I mean, you have owned body shops, you've painted cars. Like,
right.
What are we talking about when we talk about car paint?
Well, it's actually a plastic. And there are many different types of plastic, obviously. And this is one of them. And paint, depending on how it's applied, how it's cured, how it's cared for, will react differently all the time. No two paints are the same. So we hear detailers talking about, oh, this is a hard paint, this is a soft paint from X or Y manufacturer. In reality, that manufacturer might be making that same car in 3 different factories in 3 different parts of the world with 3 different paint systems.
Even though it's the same color and the same model.
Yeah, so you can't generalize.
Also, Envy ceramic sealant is a fantastic drying aid. It makes the paint smooth and protected and shiny. Why aren't we using it today, Ivan?
Because we will be polishing and coating this car in another video. But if you want to see another video of us polishing and ceramic coating a vehicle, I suggest you take a look at this one right here.